Earlier today, Suits actress Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude who still lives with his grandma.
I swear to God, Harry, ruin my take again and I will end you! You talking to me?
You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where?
When Meghan Markle married Prince Harry, the world watched a modern fairy tale unfold. American actress meets British prince, love conquers all, right? Wrong. The whole thing didn't just end, it crashed and burned so hard that now every comedian from Golden Globe hosts to banned British puppet shows can't wait to take their shot. Here's the thing. When your real life becomes a better punchline than anything a comedy writer could make up, you know something went seriously wrong. Today, we're breaking down every single time a celebrity publicly destroyed Meghan Markle, and trust me, some of these are absolutely brutal. Now, before we dive in, you're going to want to see what happens when South Park gets involved and wait till you hear which comedian actually started defending her before completely turning around. If you're into this kind of drama, hit that subscribe button and drop a like right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming. Let's get into it. So let's start with Joe Coy at the Golden Globes, right?
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
This guy gets up on stage in front of Hollywood's biggest names and just goes for it. He says, turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix. The room went quiet for a second because everyone was thinking the same thing. Netflix actually paid them millions, and nobody can figure out what they got in return. Even the streaming executives know they got scammed. That's not even a roast at that point. That's just Joe pointing at the obvious. The Netflix deal became the industry's inside joke. Everyone in Hollywood was watching this unfold, thinking the same thing. They really got away with that. But here's where it gets better. British comedians had been waiting for their moment, and Jimmy Carr wasn't going to hold back.
A joke. I said Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job.
He went straight for the one thing nobody else would touch, the whole feminist act. Listen to this. Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job. Think about that for a second. She spent years talking about fighting for women's rights and careers, and then the moment a prince shows interest, suddenly none of that matters anymore. Jimmy didn't just point out the contradiction. He destroyed the entire narrative. It's like watching someone give motivational speeches about independence and then immediately moving into someone else's palace. And get this, he compared the royal family to the Kardashians.
Well, Prince Harry, well, the royal family, right, if you can imagine, they're like our Kardashians.
Now, that might sound like a compliment at first, but it's actually worse. Jimmy said they're like our Kardashians, which honestly insults the Kardashians if you think about it. At least the Kardashians built their own empire from scratch. They created businesses, brands, products that people actually buy. What did Harry and Meghan build? A Netflix deal with no content and a jam business nobody asked for. Then Colin Jost came through with his own shot. He made this whole bit about how nobody actually wanted to keep these two around, and his response to the idea was just, no, I refuse, I'm sick of it.
That Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
No, I refuse, I'm sick of it.
The rejection was so real, like, here's two people expecting everyone to roll out the red carpet, and instead everyone's just saying pass. Nobody wanted to claim them. The pushback was universal. But the comparison that really hit different came when someone looked at Harry's life choices next to Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Why isn't he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
They said it would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits. Now, Elon bought Twitter and people thought that was crazy, but at least Twitter had value at some point. At least there was something there. What did Harry get? A lifestyle brand that sells tiny jars of jam and a wife who films herself putting pretzels from one bag into another bag. That's the exchange. Royal privilege for pretzel content. Now, SNL decided to get in on this, and honestly, they didn't even need to try that hard. They announced this fake spin-off for Suits where Meghan's character would be struggling to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
Suits, it will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
Get this, that's literally just their real life. They didn't change a single detail. The writers didn't need to exaggerate or make anything up because the actual situation was already ridiculous enough to be a sitcom plot. When comedy shows can use your day-to-day existence as their material without adding anything, you've already become the joke. But if SNL was taking shots from a distance, Kelly Osbourne went straight for the throat. She called Harry out on something everyone was thinking but nobody was saying. She said, "I think Harry is whining, complaining, woe is me. I'm the only one that's ever had mental problems."
Whining, whinging, complaining, woe is me, I'm the only one that's ever had mental problems.
Here's the thing. The mental health card only works when you're not using it to sell books and documentaries. Kelly saw right through that move immediately. She wasn't buying the whole, my life was so hard routine when he's a prince complaining about palace life. And then she went even harder. She brought up how he's trying to come back now like he's some kind of saint. But the internet doesn't forget. She pointed out that he had some pretty embarrassing moments in his past that people still remember. And now he wants to lecture everyone about being better people. Google exists. Screenshots are forever. You can't just erase your history and expect everyone to treat you like you've always been perfect. Trying to reinvent yourself doesn't work when people can literally search everything you've ever done in 2 seconds. That's what made all these comedy writers' jobs so easy. They weren't making stuff up or adding anything extra. They were just pointing at what was already there and saying, look at this. When your actual life gives comedians better material than anything they could write themselves, that's when you know something went seriously wrong. SNL's writers probably sat in that room for 5 minutes, looked at the real situation, and just wrote it down word for word. No creativity needed. The punchline was already built in. Trevor Noah actually started off as one of Meghan's biggest defenders, which makes what happened later even more interesting. He was making jokes at the royal family's expense, not hers. When their baby was born and they named him Archie, Trevor joked that the Queen was probably relieved it wasn't a more ethnic name.
There's one person who's super excited, the Queen. Yeah, because for the last 9 months, she's been like, please don't be Jamal.
He was giving Meghan every benefit of the doubt, backing her up completely. When the Queen summoned everyone to a meeting and Meghan didn't show up, Trevor defended that decision too. He said he didn't blame her for skipping it. He was fully on her team at this point. But then something shifted. Trevor saw a clip that changed everything. Prince Harry was at a movie premiere and he walked up to the CEO of Disney and started pitching his wife for voiceover work.
Prince Harry really did that? At a movie premiere last year, he asked the CEO of Disney to hook his wife up with voiceovers.
Right there on the red carpet, in front of everyone, Harry was basically begging this executive to give Meghan a job doing cartoon voices. Trevor watched that moment, and you could see the realization hit him. This wasn't about escaping the royal family or finding privacy. This was about hustling for Hollywood gigs. And Trevor broke it down perfectly. He said royal marriages used to be about power moves.
You gotta admit, the monarchy has fallen off, right? No, because back in the day, it used to be like, if you marry my daughter, I'll give you Burgundy.
Kings would marry their daughters off and get entire regions in return. Countries would shift alliances. Kingdoms would be traded. That was the level royalty operated on. And now it's Harry going, my wife actually does a pretty good Timon. You should hear her. Come on, baby, do the thing.
My wife actually does a pretty good Timon. You should hear her. Come on, baby, do the thing. Hakuna Matata, do the thing.
The downgrade was massive. From empire building to auditioning for Disney at a movie premiere. That's what made Trevor's turn so brutal. He wasn't attacking her from the start. He wanted to believe in the whole story. But when you see a prince literally begging executives for cartoon work, you can't defend that anymore. The hustle became too obvious to ignore. Trevor went from making jokes defending her to making jokes about the entire operation they were running. His disappointment hit different because you could tell he actually wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. He tried. And they still made it impossible. Nikki Glaser took one look at the whole situation and diagnosed it instantly. She said Meghan wanted to be famous, found the one guy who could make her the most famous person in the world, and then acted surprised when it came with conditions.
Found the guy to make her the most famous in the world, and now she's over there and she's like, oh, this isn't what I thought.
What's the point of being famous in a castle every day?
She wanted the fame without the palace life. She wanted the spotlight without the rules. Nikki saw through the whole performance immediately. It wasn't about love conquering all. It was about finding the fastest route to global recognition. And Nikki didn't stop there. She said if Meghan hadn't married Harry, she'd be on The Bachelor this season fighting for a rose. She'd be contestant number 12 from Sherman Oaks, hoping to make it past week 3. Without that royal connection, she's just another actress trying to stay relevant. The royal marriage saved her from reality TV obscurity, and Nikki said exactly what everyone was thinking, but felt too polite to mention out loud. Then there's Simon Brodkin, who actually sat down and watched their entire Netflix documentary. 6 full hours of content. He said before watching it he wasn't a fan, but he figured he should hear their side of the story.
I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I hate them.
So he watched the whole thing. And after 6 hours, he didn't just dislike them, he hated them. The documentary had the complete opposite effect of what it was supposed to do. It turned neutral viewers into active critics. That takes a special kind of talent. Bill Maher came in with a different angle. He called out the fundamental contradiction in everything they do.
Poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
You can't write a tell-all book about how much you don't want attention. You can't do Oprah, then Netflix, then interviews, and then complain about privacy. Bill said they want it both ways. They want the sympathy for being mistreated and the money from talking about it. Writing an entire memoir about wanting to be left alone is like starting a podcast about how much you hate talking. The logic just doesn't work. And Jimmy Kimmel found maybe the most ridiculous part of the whole thing. Harry wrote this massive book, hundreds of pages about his life, and one of the big moments he shared was about getting frostbite. Kimmel took that story and said they're making a children's book version.
Releasing a version for kids. I don't know if you know about this. It's a twist on The Princess and the Pea. It's called The Prince and the Penis, and it's...
The whole thing became a joke. 600 pages of family drama reduced to a kid's story about cold weather. That's how seriously Hollywood took his literary career. Jimmy Fallon found something that perfectly captures how bizarre their content strategy is. Meghan was filming herself making her own pretzel bags. But here's the thing. She wasn't actually making anything. She was taking pretzels out of one bag and putting them into a different bag. That's it. That was the content.
Why does Meghan Markle make her own pretzel bags? They don't know why.
That's interesting. She takes it from one bag and puts it in another bag.
Fallon couldn't even understand what he was watching. He kept asking why she's repackaging snacks that are already packaged. There's no answer. Because it doesn't make sense. She literally took food from one container, moved it to another container, and expected people to be impressed. And this became part of her whole lifestyle brand thing. She's out here acting like she's creating gourmet products, but it's just repackaged snacks and tiny jars of jam. The jam business is a whole other story. They're selling these small jars made from Montecito oils, positioning them like they're luxury items. They're hoping Whole Foods will carry them, treating it like it would be this massive achievement. Meanwhile, everyone's just watching like, who asked for this? Nobody was sitting around thinking, you know what the world needs? Overpriced jam from a former royal. Then you've got the H&M nickname situation. Stephen Colbert covered this, and it was perfect.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H. What could it be?
Meghan revealed that she and Harry call each other M and H, and they tried to make it sound cute and meaningful. She said her friends call her M, he calls her M, it's just their thing. Colbert immediately pointed out what everyone was thinking. You're trying to sound like a fashion brand. H&M is already taken, and it's a clothing store. They're trying so hard to seem important and create this brand identity. But it just comes off as trying too hard. But nothing showed their irrelevance, quite like what Conan O'Brien did. He found out that their wax figures got removed from the museum, and some employee was temporarily storing them. So Conan built this entire bit around it. The guy he interviewed kept insisting he definitely wasn't using the wax figures for anything weird.
I was curious what they did with Harry and Meghan's wax figures, so I found the museum employee who's temporarily storing them.
Which, of course, made it funnier. The joke worked because even their wax versions became homeless. Museums didn't want them on display anymore. That's a new level of rejection when even the fake versions of you get kicked out. The whole thing painted this picture of two people desperately trying to stay relevant with lifestyle content nobody wanted. Pretzel repackaging, overpriced jam, trying to make their nicknames sound special. It all felt like watching someone who used to be important scramble for any kind of attention. When your big content move is putting snacks in different bags and your wax figures are in someone's storage unit, maybe it's time to reassess the strategy. Now, when the animated shows got involved, they didn't have to worry about being polite. The Prince series went straight for the jugular. They showed Meghan telling Harry that Suits was more popular in the States than even Friends. And Harry believed her because he'd never actually seen American television. The show exposed the whole con perfectly. She oversold her acting career, and he had no way to check if that was accurate. By the time he figured out what actually happened, it was too late. Family Guy jumped in with their own take. They had this scene where someone's congratulating Harry on getting millions from Netflix, and the response is just putting it with all the other millions they got for nothing.
I think it's important we do this ourselves, Harry, and not live off your family.
I agree. We'll just have to find a way to make £50 billion on our own.
Even cartoon characters couldn't figure out what Harry and Meghan actually produced for that money. The Netflix deal became such an obvious scam that animated shows were using it as a running punchline. When even fictional characters think you're running a con, that's saying something. But South Park took it to another level entirely. They dedicated a whole episode to the privacy contradiction. The episode showed them on their worldwide privacy tour, which is exactly what it sounds like. Traveling the globe to tell everyone how much they want to be left alone. South Park didn't even need to exaggerate. They just animated what was actually happening and let the absurdity speak for itself.
He's right. Trying to make ourselves into a brand just turned us into products. We don't need to be a brand, do we?
The best running joke in the episode was about the Instagram-loving wife who wants privacy. Every time Harry would defend Meghan's need for privacy, someone would point out that she's doing magazines, TV shows, and posting constantly. And Harry would get defensive like, how dare you suggest my Instagram-loving wife doesn't want privacy? The show called out the core lie that everyone was too polite to mention directly. You can't build a social media presence and then complain about not having a private life. Then Spitting Image came through with the puppet version, and British satire doesn't hold back. They had Meghan doing this cooking show, teaching people how to breathe and putting flowers on chips like it's gourmet cooking.
What is microwave? I don't think we have any of that. Harry? Do we have any microwave?
The whole thing was mocking her lifestyle content that treats basic stuff like it's revolutionary. And when Harry didn't understand what a microwave was, Meghan snapped at him with, "Don't talk to me like that, I'm a duchess." The puppet showed exactly what everyone suspected. She pulls that title out whenever someone questions her. The animated shows went harder than real people could because they didn't have to worry about consequences. They could say what everyone was thinking without sugarcoating it. And what they showed was two people who couldn't keep their story straight, wanted fame while demanding privacy, and treated basic life skills like they were creating groundbreaking content. Let's talk about what Nikki Glaser said, because she really summed up the whole thing. She pointed out that without Harry, Meghan would just be another actress nobody remembers.
If she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season. Fighting for Prince. She would be Meghan M.
She'd be trying out for reality shows, hoping to get noticed. The royal marriage was the lucky break that saved her from complete obscurity. And Nikki wasn't pulling punches. She was saying what everyone else was thinking. Take away the prince, and there's nothing there that makes her special or different from thousands of other actors trying to make it. Bill Maher took a different approach. He straight up refused to go along with what he called their fragility and insanity. He said he's not bending the knee to validate their complaints. And here's what made Bill's take so effective. He compared them to the Queen.
Fragile. Just take a hint from the Queen, the recently departed.
Never complain, never explain.
The Queen never complained, never explained, rarely spoke in public. She just did her job. Meanwhile, these two can't stop talking about how hard their lives are. The contrast made them look even worse. Bill called out how ridiculous it is to complain about privilege while sitting on millions.
Poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
They're living in massive mansions, doing paid interviews, selling products, and still finding things to whine about. He said most people struggle with real problems, and here's someone complaining about palace life. The lack of self-awareness is staggering. They want everyone to feel sorry for them while they're living better than 99% of the planet. Jimmy Kimmel found his own angle. Harry wrote this giant memoir, hundreds of pages about his life and struggles. And what did Kimmel focus on? The frostbite story.
Prince Harry, whose memoir just broke the Guinness record for fastest-selling nonfiction book of all time, the story of Prince Harold and his...
He reduced the entire book to that one weird detail and made it into a joke. That's how seriously the entertainment industry took Harry's literary effort. 600 pages of family drama and complaints, and all anyone remembers is the bizarre anecdote Kimmel turned into comedy material. And then you've got John Oliver making maybe the most damning statement of all. He said they won't change because they can't.
I don't think they will change because I don't think they have the capacity to, but they obviously should.
That's not a joke or a roast. That's a professional assessment. When John Oliver, who usually stays pretty neutral on celebrity stuff, says, "You're fundamentally broken and incapable of growth," that's heavy. He's basically saying this is who they are and no amount of documentaries or interviews is going to fix it. Even the people who wanted to defend them eventually gave up. That's the real story here. It wasn't just haters piling on from the beginning. Some of these comedians and commentators tried to give them a chance. They wanted to believe the story. But the behavior was too consistent, the contradictions too obvious. When even your defenders throw their hands up and walk away, you've lost everybody. So here's what we've seen. From Joe Coy opening the Golden Globes with the Netflix joke to South Park creating an entire episode about their worldwide privacy tour, pretty much every corner of entertainment took their shot. British puppet shows, American late-night hosts, stand-up comedians, animated series. They all saw the same contradictions and couldn't help themselves. What makes this whole thing so wild is that nobody had to make anything up. The comedy wrote itself. SNL turned their real life into a sitcom pitch without changing a single detail. The pretzel bag repackaging actually happened. The Disney CEO begging moment was caught on camera. The worldwide privacy tour while doing multiple interviews was documented. These weren't exaggerations or rumors. This was just pointing at what was already there. And the crazy part is, some of these people started off defending them. Trevor Noah was fully on Meghan's side until he saw that movie premiere moment.
This is so amazing. So many of you here to see me, huh? I feel like Meghan Markle. This is dope.
Even the comedians who wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt eventually couldn't ignore what was right in front of them. When you lose the people who were actively trying to support you, that says everything. The entertainment industry figured out what was happening pretty quickly. The Netflix deal with no real content, the lifestyle brand selling repackaged snacks and tiny jams, the constant interviews while demanding privacy. It all became too obvious to defend. When your wax figures get removed from museums and even cartoon versions of you are being used for jokes, you've reached a level of irrelevance that's hard to come back from. Here's the thing that really stands out. When Google exists and screenshots are forever, you can't just reinvent yourself and expect everyone to forget. The internet doesn't work that way. Trying to rebrand as something you're not while your entire history is searchable in seconds, that's not a strategy. That's just hoping people have short memories. And clearly, comedians don't forget anything. So, what do you think? Did these comedians go too far, or did she earn every single roast? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you know any other brutal moments I didn't cover, let me know down below. Hit that subscribe button for more breakdowns like this, and I'll see you in the next one.